Well, as Brittany said, I'm Martha Brooks. I'm the wife of Congressman Mo Brooks. I'm a 40-year plus member of the AFRW. I'm a founding member of Republican Women of Huntsville, and I love being here with like-minded women and men. When I tell people that I'm married to Mo Brooks, I often get the response, "Oh, I hate politics. I don't know how you do it." Well, all of you know here that we do it because it is so important. We know that our government, for better or for worse, has a lasting impact upon our lives and the lives of our children and grandchildren. So why do people hate politics so much? What they tell me is they hear so many conflicting things from candidates, office holders, and the news media that they don't know who to believe. They dislike the false and misleading ads. They don't trust politicians because so often candidates say one thing while they're campaigning and do another when they get into public office. So today I'm going to do something that consultants would say never to do. I'm actually going to talk about the negative ads that are out there about Mo. The prevailing thought is that you shouldn't repeat them because that just makes them more well known. But I want you to reason through a few things with me today. These ads are so outlandish and offensive to those who know what is going on that I feel we should address them head on. I brought some duct tape because in case my head starts to pop off or explode from all the sheer nonsense of it, I will be prepared. Some of you may need some duct tape. This is the international symbol for duct tape right here. If you need some, just hold your hands up and I'll toss this to you. And as you can see, I brought plenty, so don't be shy. Let's first start out about talking about career politicians. In any other field, having a career is a positive. For example, if you are having surgery, don't you want a career doctor? If you are being sued, don't you seek a career lawyer? Do you want an outsider, someone who has never had any experience with taxes, doing your tax return? Of course not. But when someone says career politician, it is code word for something else. It brings to mind that person who is ensconced in an office and bases voting decisions on whether or not it will get him or her reelected. It refers to a swamp creature who has the money people lined up to donate because they know they will get their money back in government favors. Their livelihoods are dependent upon their reelection. They fall in with leadership because it brings them prestige. They live for smoke-filled back rooms, glitzy cocktail parties, and sumptuous dinners. Longevity is not the issue. Mindset is. So when Mo's opponents refer to him as a career politician, I have to giggle a little. First, most of our income has come from his legal practice, my work as a CPA and a middle school math teacher. Rather than garner favor with special interest groups, his stand as a budget hawk earns him their ire. He doesn't drink or smoke, and he would much rather be researching an issue than schmoozing at a fancy event. His voting standard is whether it is good for the United States of America, not just a special interest group. And as for leadership, in 2017, Mitch McConnell Associated PACs spent $15 million to keep him out of the Senate. And they're well on their way again this year. Mo speaks openly about issues within the Republican conference that he feels corrupts fair policy debate. Suffice it to say, when you speak the truth, it doesn't always make you friends. Yet, he has been a public servant for many years, but with him that translates to expertise in issues, the Constitution, and the legislative processes. On to the next absurdity. There are radio and TV ads running that Mo has never backed Trump and is in fact anti-Trump. They even feature some pretty compelling quotes. Yes, Mo supported Ted Cruz during the primaries, as many of you did here, and was in fact his state chairman. Mo was fighting for his candidate. After Trump was nominated, Mo supported him. Just days after the Hollywood Access tape came out, Mo donated money to Joan Reynolds' mighty Alabama strike force that was going to Florida to campaign on behalf of Donald Trump. Just as many politicians around the country and around our state were trying to distance themselves from our nominee. When President Trump was in office, Mo fully supported the MAGA agenda. In 2020, Mo contributed to President Trump's re-election effort and served as co-chair for Alabama. As Donald Trump Jr. reminded us just last month in his endorsement email, quote, "He's been a consistently conservative member of Congress and one of my father's greatest allies since the day my father took office," unquote. Donald Trump has endorsed Mo Brooks 3 times in 2018, 2020, and 2022. And I have yet to mention the leadership role that Mo played in exposing and fighting election fraud and voter integrity. He was the first and only congressman to come out and publicly state in mid-November 2020 that in his opinion, he could not vote to ratify the electoral votes from 7 states because there were too many illegal ballots cast. He was the leader in Congress in the effort to expose the fraud perpetrated on the American people by the Democrats. Does this sound like an anti-Trumper to you? No. This ad was paid for by a PAC euphemistically named Alabama's Future, and who has yet to disclose any of its donors, and touts another candidate as being 100% pro-Trump. I will not name this candidate, but suffice it to say that they offered no proof of her supposed Trumpiness. No donations, no public statements, no pictures of yard signs, bumper stickers, nothing. It is misleading, filled with innuendo and unsubstantiated claims. Third, did you know that Mo is anti-military and is a de facto member of the Taliban? This brilliant piece of advertising copy features 3 or 4 obscure votes out of thousands that he's cast, going back to 2015, where Mo apparently voted the same as some Democrats, but I guarantee you for a very different reason. Mo is on the House Armed Services Committee, and Huntsville is home to over 30,000 defense and defense-related jobs. He is a believer in the Constitution and recognizes that the federal government's #1 job is national defense. To imply that Mo's goal is to defund the military and to throw in with the Taliban is laughable at best and insulting at worst. It is reminiscent of earlier this year when Mo voted in opposition to the National Defense Authorization Act that he voted for first in committee. But after Pelosi and her conference filled it with all sorts of woke social agenda items and brought it to the floor, he refused to support it. Consider these. It reinforced vaccine mandates for military personnel, denying them the very liberty and freedom they fight for. It established a draft for women. Now, I'm all for it if a woman wants to serve her country in the military, but I do not believe women should be drafted. Pelosi's NDAA contained a huge hit to the Second Amendment in the form of red flag laws, where your gun can be confiscated if somebody turns you in for what they think is suspicious activity and you have to sue to get your gun back. This not only violates the Second Amendment, but also your due process rights. The bill allowed for taxpayer funding of transgender surgeries for service members, costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars for each surgery and lifelong hormone treatments. Mo voted no on this monstrosity, and his opponents, whose names I will not mention because you already know who I'm talking about, pronounced him as anti-military. They had to back off, however, when Mo pushed back. Mo explained what they apparently hadn't taken the time to research, or worse yet, didn't object to. Of course, Mo's strategy worked. The bill went to the Senate, where it was stripped of the worst offenses, and Mo voted for final passage. So do Mo's opponents and their minions believe the 3 attacks I have just mentioned? Of course not. They are not dumb, they are not ignorant. But they think if they could spend millions of dollars playing the ads over and over, it will drill down into voters' psyche and cause them not to vote for Mo. As you understand the truth behind the attacks and the ludicrousness of them, you start to wonder why they use them. Why not just explain how, in their opinion, Mo is not the right choice for the US Senate? Why don't they just tell the truth? There must be a reason that people are willing to donate huge sums of money, I'm talking 6 figures, for false and misleading ads. You know the reason. It's because if they told the truth, you'd never vote for their candidate. Remember these 3 words: follow the money. Yes. So much money. Money from special interest groups that crave cheap foreign labor. Money from people who expect a return on their investment in the form of special government treatment. Money from Republican leadership that wants anyone but Mo in office. Money from big tech billionaires who support rhinos and Democrats. They fight with money, we fight with truth. Ooh. The ads are not going to stop. There will be many more innuendos, distortions, and flat-out lies. I'm going to predict one right now. Remember, you heard it here first. An ad will describe Mo as a do-nothing congressman. It will say that he has passed only 1 bill in Congress since he's been in Congress. This is true. However, I would like to show you something. This is a list through last year of pieces of legislation that Mo has gotten into other bills. You see, you do not have to have your name on the top of a bill to pass legislation. You do not have to crave the limelight and be a showboat. You just have to do your job. Mo did his job when he started as one lone congressman to oppose voter fraud in 2020. Mo did his job when he persuaded then House Speaker Paul Ryan to not bring amnesty legislation to the floor without the backing of a majority of the Republican conference. This agreement ensured that illegal aliens didn't get congressional amnesty and citizenship for as long as Paul Ryan was Speaker of the House. As Steve Marshall noted yesterday, Mo did his job when he joined with our Attorney General to keep illegals from being counted in the number to determine congressional districts. If Mo were a do-nothing congressman, would he have won his last Republican primary 75% to 25% against a well-financed veteran and farmer who is backed by powerful special interest groups? Mo is widely respected by other conservative congressmen, not because of his position of power, but because of the power of his positions. Our great country is a republic. We're supposed to campaign to win the right to represent citizens in legislative bodies by using persuasive arguments. We should tout our candidates' strengths, point out differences, debate policy. But what we are seeing today goes beyond the pale and only serves to make people cynical and turn them off to politics. It gives Republicans a bad name and violates the voters' trust in us. We, as Republican Party members, have the right to expect and demand better. We need to change people's attitudes from "I hate politics" to "I'm a proud Republican." Yeah. We need to make Republicans great again. Yeah. I wish you could know the real Mo Brooks, and I think many of you do. He loves sports. He loves chocolate milk and Krispy Kreme donuts. And he can eat a lot of them. He loves playing table tennis, and he's really good at it. He hates shopping. He loves movies, science fiction mainly, but he will watch a Hallmark movie with me gladly. He believes in marriage so much that in almost every staff meeting, he reminds his young staff that they should be looking for better jobs and the spouse. He spoils his grandkids with soda pop and popcorn and lets them chase him and jump all over them. When they walk into the door, they look at me immediately and say, "Where's Papa?" He doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve, but his feelings run deep for his country and his family and his belief that our rights come from God and not the federal government. Which is why he puts up with all the lies the Democrats and rhinos throw at him. He's unshakable. Although our whole family would love to have him home more, I ask you to vote for Mo Brooks for U.S. Senate on May 24th. He won't let you down.